All right. So what I'm going to present today is advanced merge field notation. And you all have seen little bits and pieces of this as we went along in various places, but I'm just going to stop and go through the whole thing. And I will tell you that this is really the secret sauce, and it is what makes everything in Pocket Developer really powerful. It can be simple. You can use simple advanced merge field notation. You can also use really complex. But essentially, I'll tell you what advanced merge field, well, look, I actually have a section. I was about to say I'll tell you what it does, but here's what it is. So essentially, this is the way that you tell Pocket Developer what field that you want to work with, okay? And so the notation looks very similar in that it looks like standard Infusionsoft merge fields with the tilde in front, the table name dot field name, or table name dot underscore custom field name. So we use that same notation. The difference is now we can add two things. Number one, the table name, we can add a lot more table names, because basically what it means now is we can work with any table that is available to the API is available to Pocket Developer. And as you're about to see, we also continue on, we add to this notation with what we call our dot notation. And by adding these dot this, dot that, and stringing those together, you are telling Pocket Developer not only what table and field you want to work with, but what you want to do with them. And so by doing that, or allowing that, we can now access company, tasks, appointments, tags, opportunity, orders, invoices, products, payments, referrals, affiliates, and again, any other Infusionsoft table that is accessible to the API. Not only can we get them, but we can update them. We can pull information from them. We can merge them, count them, compare them, average them, find them in the max, the newest, the oldest, the first updated, last updated. We can combine them, filter them, etc. So I'll show you a few of those here coming up, at least the notation for it, a few examples. You've already seen Email Anyone, so you know that you can put them into emails. And I'll definitely show you prefetch tonight. Prefetch is something else that also allows you to create complex data sets when you need to drill down into the tables. So when the information you need is a couple levels down, you'll use something called prefetch. That's part of our notation as well. And you can, we have something called an override feature, and that's what this is referring to. Override allows you to merge information from or update a contact other than the one that is going through the campaign. So as an example, I said you might want to update the referrer or the opportunity owner, just as an example. And then we also have dates merges that are available in the email builder in Infusionsoft, but we've also added those to our advanced merge field notation as well. So you can do things that same merge date dot that they've got in the merge fields in Campaign Builder. We'll look at it. You can use all of those in our notation as well. So, and we are finding new ways to change them and do crazy things with them all the time. So these are, every time we come up with a good idea, then we add more things. I've got a question. Ozzy wants to know, what about non-IS tables? You cannot do that with advanced merge field notation. This is only for Infusionsoft tables. We have on the roadmaps somewhere, we have not started working on it, a MySQL plugin that would allow us to access MySQL tables, but that has not been released yet. And I don't even really have a release date on it right now. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline right now, including that. So if that ends up being something at some point that you really, really need, then of course I'm always open to suggestions about what comes next. We're really just trying to, how shall I say it, kind of stop and make sure we've got everything solid in what we've built so far before we go on and start building some more things. So that's what merge field notation does. I don't know why these silly accordions sometimes jump to the bottom. Anyway, so we talk about our core Pocket Developer plugins. I'm pretty sure you all have heard me refer to them as core. So I have a list of the plugins where advanced merge field notation applies, but I will just point out to you that anything that is yellow in our store, those are what we call our core plugins. In core plugins, what makes them core is the fact that they do have advanced merge field notation available to them. As we get more into these listeners, which I'll just give you a sneak peek, we may actually go at this a different way. I had a brilliant idea the other day, I thought, for a universal listener. And so we put that on the roadmap instead, in which case we may take all these out, and in the same way we have a universal delay timer, create a universal listener. These are here for, or maybe leave these here as like a lower priced option for people who are afraid of the advanced merge field notation, but to do all of these things and many, many more, we would just replace it with a single universal listener, i.e. goal. So anyway, these do not use, but anything in yellow uses our core, our advanced merge field notation, just so you know. And there's a list of them here for now. These are the ones that do, and so that's that. Now, so this is how to use it, and I'm going to show you some examples. I want to make sure you all can see this. Ozzy, can we? You are now.
I'm good now.
Unmute. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. You want to mute yourself for a bit until we get to the until you have a question, and unmute you. There we go. Great. Thanks. I just saw Monica say she's not going to make the call. Okay. So here's how you use it. We've created a bit of a language around advanced merge field notation. And so we have two versions of it, and one is called the query notation, which is the one we use most often, and then the other is what we call the reference notation. The reference notation I will get to, but it basically, when you put like a contact ID in here or any sort of an ID, then now it pulls that field name from that table for that specific ID, regardless of who or what is going through the campaign. So in this example here, opportunity 15, like that, and by the way, this can also be a merge field in here, we'll pull the opportunity title for the opportunity with an ID of 15. So that's really quick and easy. That's what we call the reference notation, is just that ability to put a specific ID in here behind the table name. That's reference notation. But the query notation is this. The syntax goes like this: table name dot field name dot. Now everything after table name field name is optional. In programming language, whenever you see these brackets like this, that tells you that that parameter is optional. So everything here, everything after this is optional. And they don't have to be necessarily in this order. However, what we're showing you is that we have, for example, filter by, which I'll talk to you in a minute. This is a query, essentially. When you do filter by, you're saying filter this down to a single record or records. We have order by, which is the sort parameter. And then after that, these dot qualifier 1, qualifier 2, qualifier 3, as you'll see, are further refinements of what we're pulling. Okay, so again, you can use some of these, you can use all of them, you can use none of them, as you'll start to see in some of the examples. Chetan, the way that you can identify an ID in Infusionsoft is, I mean, most of the time, just so that you know, in this notation right here, you probably aren't going to hard code this. Not that there wouldn't be times when you wouldn't, but more often than not, you're going to put a merge field in here. It's not the table ID. This is the contact ID or the opportunity ID, the specific ID. I'll give you an example as we go along. This is saying, so I've got my contact Nessa dog. Well, here, let me just while I've just got this while we're talking about it, I'll do this so you can see. Find Drita dog, and hopefully Drita has an opportunity. So you can just see what I'm talking about. Now, we were specifically talking about opportunities in that example, which is the reason I'm doing this. But of course, contact ID, we know that her contact ID is 18853, but opportunity IDs, for example, oh yeah, she's got loads of opportunities, is this one right here. If I look down, it's really hard to see, but I'll bring it up kind of in the middle and then mouse over. So down there in the bottom left, you can see right down here in the URL in the query string where it says ID 567. So that ID, well, it'd be easier if I pulled it up, wouldn't it? So there, you can see it up here. So this one has an ID of 567. Now, if I go back and I pull up the next one, or I go over the next one, like, here we go, opportunities. Hang on, Ozzy, I see you. So this one has 569, this one 571, this one 573. Okay, so everything, because that's how everything that goes in a table in a database has to have somehow a unique identifier, and most often that's an ID. So contacts have IDs, opportunities have IDs, products have IDs, orders have IDs, everything has an ID, and some of those IDs tie together and some don't, right? So Asi is saying it's like a campaign ID, but it's the opportunity ID, okay? So yeah, I could look at this and say, oh, I want to do this to ID 567. That's not that likely. The more likely scenario would be, wrong one. As I said before, that rather than hard coding something in here, you'd put a merge field in here like opportunity.id or contact.id or order.id, so that, and I'll tell you like a use case for it. Let me just show you something. I'm getting a little off track, but it's okay. This was going to be a little free form no matter what we did. So if I go to the developer, remember I've showed these to you before, the table documentation, which is where you find the names of all the tables and fields, okay, which is in developer.infusionsoft.table documentation. Okay, now here's where you might use this. If I go to contact, for example, now contact has its own ID right here, ID, okay? However, it has, if you look at all these items that have a type of ID, you'll see that there are other IDs in the contact record as well, like account ID, and here's company ID, and here is who's the user who created this record, what's their ID. Here is who last updated it. That's going to be a user's ID. Who's the lead source? Okay, that's an ID. This is actually broken. This is a bug. If it worked, it would be brilliant. But here's the owner ID. Okay, and that looks like it. So let's talk about this owner ID for a second. Okay, so instead of, I'm going to make a note here. Okay, hopefully this is big. So if I did something like this, contact, contact, and then I did contact dot owner ID. That's a merge field. Oops, I probably have the capitalization wrong there, but you get the idea. Dot we'll make this a num referrals. Okay, so here's what's going to happen here, and this is the whole purpose of having this notation, is as contact Dog, owner is probably a bad example, but anyway, as contact Dog goes through this campaign, every time it hits this merge field notation, it's going to update num referrals not for Drida, but for Drida's owner in the record of Drida's owner, because what got merged in here was ID whatever, right? What's getting merged in there is essentially contact, you know, and whatever Drida's owner's ID is, dot num referrals, right? So what that's resolving to is, oh, okay, I'm not going to update the number of referrals table in Drida's record. I'm going to update it in this record. Does that help? Yeah. Good, good. Yeah, that's where. So remember this table, and I do have a, Chetan is saying that he checked this document yesterday, but he wasn't sure like where to get these table names from. So let me just show you one other thing here. If you go, I'm also, I've actually just made a video about this. I don't have it posted yet, but if you go to what? Frequently asked questions. I don't think it's in the how-tos, but I'll look. But I know it's in the frequently asked questions. Oh no, I lied. It's not in the frequently asked questions. Nope. Let me try. Let me go here. Hang on. PDEV documentation. Must be in the how-tos. Come on. I just made this. Where did I put it? That's bizarre. Okay, I was pretty... hang on. Wow, I should have just closed that. Frequently asked questions. Oops. I do know it's there. Yeah, it is there, but I thought I had made its own frequently asked question. I will do that. So way down here it does say where do I find all the table and field names. Fusionsoft has a complete reference for all the tables and fields, etc. However, that should also be in the frequently asked questions. But that's what it is. If you go to developer.infusionsoft.com, you can also get to it from help.infusionsoft.com. Either way, you can find these. Okay? All right. Good. So let me keep going now. Back to this. You need to stop. Okay. So if I go back to how to use it. All right. So let's look at these the query notation. Okay, so here required, we've already talked about that, the name of the table and the field. And then we have these qualifiers, which can be all kinds of things. So a couple rules about these qualifiers. One, they can be changed. So as in .newest, .unpaid. If you don't put any sort of a qualifier, we always assume as a default newest. And that's about it. Oh, results will be ordered by date created if it's available as a default also, unless you use order by. So let's go look at a few of these. Okay? So here's our list. Here's our filters. We will go through a few of these, and I will also show you examples. If you have any of these that you think are, most interesting to you, let me know, and I will for sure show you these. Yeah, but otherwise we'll just kind of we'll go through and talk through them and then do some examples in Campaign Builder. So, all right, filter by is by far and away the one that you will use the most. Everything else is maybe besides like has tags. But definitely filter by is the one you'll use the most. So here's filter by. And again, what this is doing is it's creating a query, okay? So what you're going to do is when you specify the table and the field name, you're going to say dot filter by, and then in this example is appointment :1. This is always, by the way, the filter. I should go back to this. This is always the notation that we use. It's always, you say filter by parentheses, and inside those parentheses you say what's the field name that what are you filtering by, and then I'm not explaining that very well. Let's see. How can I explain this? Let me just do an example. This would probably be easier if I just showed you than tried to explain it. We'll do it like this. I know what it does. Trying to explain it to somebody is altogether a different thing. Okay. So the left-hand side of the colon is what you're querying on, and the right-hand side of the colon is basically what it's testing. Okay, so like this. Let's see. Like this. Here. Oh dear. Come on. Okay, filter by. How about that? Right up front. Okay, so here is a filter by. And I wish I could make these where you could see them all. All right, so let me just walk through this, okay? All right, your post is using any text. Okay, so any text is saying for this contact, what we want to go get is we want to get this text and we want to save it in a field called contact notes. And as you may know, contact notes are this big, huge field here, okay? So what we want is we want this, and we want to put it in that big, huge field. So let's just use a note again so that you can see what this filter by looks like. Bigger, please, bigger. Why won't you zoom when I want you to? Nope. Didn't I have it zoomed in that other one? Why will it zoom in one and not the other? That's so weird. All right. So let's look at this filter by. So it's saying, okay, what I want to pull is the opportunity title from the opportunity. Okay? That's what this first part means. Get me, because this is any text, get me opportunity title in the opportunity, here we go, and save it in the contact notes. However, I only want, what if there's more than one? right? I only want opportunity titles where it has the number 3 somewhere in the title. I mean literally number 3, right? So because this is a wildcard in Infusionsoft, %, space, number 3. Now if I had done this, so what we're saying actually is not just that it says number 3 somewhere in the opportunity title, but specifically we're saying at the end of opportunity title. Because if we wanted to say somewhere, we'd have had to add another wildcard right there. Okay? So this is saying, give me the opportunity title and save it in the contact notes where at the end of it it says number 3. Now let's just look at, well, that's why it's like that. See how Drita has opportunity number 1, number 2, number 3? Okay, so let's run this so you can see what this is going to do. If I go to, where's that campaign? See what tag is going to fire this. Probably look at this and no. Run qualifier. Okay. So if I go over here to Drita and I apply this tag. Nope. Run qualifier. That one. I say apply this tag. And I refresh. And I go to the person notes. Any minute now. Come on, come on, come on, refresh. Okay, just got impatient. Okay. I guess I shouldn't have done that. Ever wonder what Infusionsoft looks like with no styling? Come on. Trying to look if I have anything running I should turn off. There it goes. Okay, now, person notes. See? Now it's put op number 3, which is the one that had number 3 at the end. Now, it could have, if I hadn't used that filter by, it would have said, you know, it would have put all these in there. But because I said only the one with number 3 at the end, and that is the title, by the way, you can see, look right here. Here's the title. Come on, come on, come on. Here's your title right here, op number 3. Okay, so that's the one it grabbed. So you kind of get the, so that's sort of an example of filter by. Now, I can do other things. Let's look at some of the other examples that we have here so that you can see some of the ones that were here. Okay, so here's one, this one that's, okay. Now this one's interesting. This one's really, really useful, you guys. Okay, what's in the contact action table? We've done this before, but I will just bring it to your attention because it's really handy. What's in the contact action table, easy for me to say, are tasks, notes, and appointments. And what differentiates a task from an appointment is this field called isAppointment. It's a true-false field. If it's an appointment, it'll say 1. And if it's not an appointment, this will say 0. So what we're saying here, when we filter by isAppointment, we're saying, okay, AnyText, take this description from this appointment. Take the description when isAppointment is true. Otherwise, this is missing, by the way. I must have cut some stuff off. There we go. So this only pulls action description when it is an appointment. So you guys understand? This is the field that I'm working with, and this is the one I'm filtering, and this is my test for my filter. Maybe I got it that time. Did that make sense? I'll let you guys let me know.
Yeah, Kim, this is Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
Question, I got it. One of the things I like to do when I'm understanding data, just like you've described, is by outputting the table fields, so that when I'm doing these type of things, I'm seeing what the data looks like. You know, I could see the zeros and ones.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of like understand the data when you're actually doing these types of things that you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to just dump, you know, values of tables out so that we can look at them? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that when we're doing these type of things, we can see how the data's structured in the first place visually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's two ways. Well, if you're working with our stuff, there's really there's not a good way there, other than, like, in other words, you can't dump the whole. Well, let me make sure I understand your question. I know what you're asking, but I want to make sure I have the context right, because I do the same thing. So if what you're saying is I want to see take a contact record and dump everything in the contact record so I can see that? Or are you saying, as I execute this, I want to see what is in appointment 1?
No, I'm saying show me all the records within that table with all the values. So okay, let me give you an example in spreadsheet form, right?
No, I know what you're after.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. Mm-hmm.
So here's how I would do. This is let me think about how am I going to do this. I mean, it's really easy to do with a script. Of course, we don't, right? It's like we don't have a script. So how would I, besides creating one for you that just did a dump into the contact,
can you output it to like, you know, at the back end of our work order program, we're outputting values of fields to an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file in a fulfillment job. So are we able to do it in that fashion, for example?
Well, sort of. In fact, right this second, no. But let me show you. We have on our, so here's our Trello board. And if we go to our roadmap, we actually have on our roadmap, project roadmap, and it's actually wrong one. It's actually further along. It's actually on the to-do list, the future to-do list, to log every post that gets made in a log file on your server. But that still isn't really going to get, I mean, yeah, that'll log all of these so that if you don't get the result you wanted, you could go back and look at the post and go, well, what did it output? Why did I get some different result than what I expected? Because, because in this contact record, his appointment shows as 0. You know, and we're doing it for us to be able to troubleshoot as well as for you to be able to see it. But what I think you're asking is, can I just, like, somewhere print the entire contact, you know, every field in a contact out somewhere where I can see it, right?
No, of all contacts within
well, you don't,
table.
No, well, you don't want to do that. What if there's 20,000 of them?
No, okay, or a filter set of them. 100 records.
Yeah, that you just definitely have to do with a script. I thought you were just trying to, like, as you were writing these posts, you were trying to kind of just get a peek at the data to help you write them. But, yeah, you would have to just write a script that dumped each one of these tables. Which is not, it's not that hard to do. In fact, I do that all the time. If you look in my, I'll just show you, kind of, if it connects, if you look in my scripts, you'll actually see a lot of times I'll say, see these that say like test database, test mail, test order info. See all these? That's actually basically what I'm doing. I've got a query here, and I'm like, okay, show me all these fields. Oh, show me all these fields. Show me all these fields. And I sit and I play, I do basically exactly what you're asking for. In fact, if I ran this right now, I'm not sure if it'll run or not. No.
And where are you outputting it to?
Oh, quarter. I'm outputting it to the screen. Yeah, I don't have this open. Hang on. Scripts. I might not even have this. Anyway, I don't want to waylay us, but it is. So the reason I understand what you're saying is because I do this all the time. This is how I learned where the data was. And so, if that's something you guys would, be interested in at some point, we could write you a little script that you could play with. But anyway, I do get it. But no, there's nothing right now. You could do that.
Could you give us an example of one on one table? Do you think we could figure it out?
You mean like give you the script and then you guys figure out how to modify it?
Yeah.
Or do it now?
Oh, no,
I'm not sure what you were asking.
No, not do it now. No. Just one example so that, and we'll give it a go and try to figure it out so that we can do one table at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably could figure something like that out. Okay, let's kind of keep going on this. So, all right, so you sort of understand filter by. Oops, that's not what we want. All right, let's see here. Now, I want to see if I can show you some. You can do this as well. So right here, let's just say. So in filter by, you can put a comma, and let's say you wanted to say description, and then you could do something like this, so description says call in it. All right, so now you're actually querying on two things. You're saying, okay, I want you to, well, this is probably should be something like that. There we go. So I want you to put the description in somewhere, wherever it's putting it, but only if it's an appointment and only if that appointment has the word call in the description. So now you're getting more specific, and you could keep doing these if you wanted to by just putting another query term and then, like that. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Good. All right. So let's keep going here on our advanced merge field. So that is a filter. Here's a couple. Oh, well, there's the example like I just gave you. Okay. So we could put this up here. So there's where we're saying where the action type is call. Okay. And then here's another one where we're doing just what I said, right? Is appointment and consulting call. Okay, so that's filter by. The next one is very simple, actually. There's two of these that go together. Newest or last. Those two terms are interchangeable. You can do .newest or .last. They mean the same thing. Or you can also do .oldest or .first. They also do the same thing. So if here's an example, if you said order, so for this contact, give me the ID of the newest order. That's what that's doing. Now remember that it defaults to newest. So if you don't say .newest, if you just say order.id, you're going to get the newest ID. But you can specify it, and but you can also, what if you don't want the newest? What if you want the oldest? Well, you could do that too. Invoice.id.oldest will give you the oldest invoice, okay, or the oldest invoice ID. So you've got newest or oldest, and I will just say, it says up here that that when we say newest to oldest, we're always referring to created date of the record. We can do other things with order by, but newest oldest refers to create date. We also have a .paid. .paid only refers to the invoice table. It's the only place that this one works. So if I say invoice.id.paid, that's going to give me the newest paid invoice ID. And that is because, again, it defaults to newest if you don't specify it. If I said invoice.id.paid.oldest, then it would give me the oldest instead. But because I didn't specify, it's going to give me the ID of the newest paid. If I left off paid, it would just give me paid or unpaid. It wouldn't care. And then here's the flip side of that, of course, is unpaid, unpaid. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. Now, is empty is, for me, kind of useful, because these are things that can be used two ways. So it means is blank, and then here's its counterpart, is not empty. So when we say order.orderTitle.is empty, and again, remember, we're assuming newest, therefore, what we're saying is, show me the order title, the newest order title that is blank. Now, we have a way of saying, I'll show you later, of saying all, not just newest, but show me all. But this one is saying, show me the latest one that is empty. Now, and the reason I may want to use that is, for example, I may want to only write something to a field if it's empty. I don't want to overwrite what's already in it. So I want to use that is empty to say, save today's date to this custom field if it is empty. Right? That would be an example of why you might want to use is empty. Another reason is you might say, you might want to go look for all the is empties, you know, and do something with it. If it's empty, then, you know, take the first name and last name and concatenate it. Well, so here's an example that I've used before. So let's take the nickname field in the contact record, okay? Now, sometimes if you put that on a form, like for one of my clients, they fill out on their membership form their nickname. So instead of Philip, they put Phil. But the people who don't have a nickname, they don't put Phil or Philip, they leave it blank. And so what I want to do is I want to come right behind that order, that form submission in Campaign Builder, and say, any text, if nickname is empty, fill it with first name. And that way I can always use nickname in my emails, so I'm not sending to a formal name, which a lot of people will use when you ask for their first name, instead of my husband, who always writes James, but who goes by Jim. If he put Jim, you'll get Jim. If he didn't, you'll put James. That's a perfect example of how you would use is empty or is not empty. Questions on that? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Kim, I understand that. Like with person notes, if it's not empty and you're just writing to it, and it's a field that you can, does it just normally append to, like it just adds another line?
Mm-mm.
Because for that example that you gave, you can't append anything. It's either if it's not empty, it will overwrite the value that was there before. Correct?
Correct.
All right.
So
yeah.
the only place you can prepend and append is in a, well, no, you can do it anywhere, but you have to use prefetch, which is something I was going to go over here at the end. You and I, when we did that example where we wrote to the contact notes, we actually used prefetch for that. And so what you do is you grab the value that's already in there, and then you write the new value and put what was in there after it. So, but if you don't do something like that, if all you do is say, like, let me give you an example. Let's just say, let me go to Campaign Builder. Where is Campaign Builder? Let me see what we got in here already. So here's as empty. Okay, so again, we're using any text. Okay, so we're working with a text field. So for this contact, what we're saying is in the opportunity next action notes, good use case, okay, in next action notes, if it is empty, we want to just write this text, field number 4 from Campaign Builder, okay, and it's going to fill number 4 because there are 4 of them, and it's always going to take the newest because we didn't say oldest or anything else. All we said is just give me the one that where next action notes is empty. Okay, are you with me? So now hang on, I lost. Tell me your question was about the prefetch. Oh,
yeah, like,
about that it was going to overwrite it, right?
Override. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole point here is to say, you know, you only save it, right? Any text is only going to save it to this field if it is empty. So if it's not, then, sorry, let me rephrase that. It is going to, you know what? Let's test it. What it should do is it should only pull it should only write it to this field if it is empty. All right, so let's test it.
To the action notes field, is that right?
Yeah, to the action notes field, but let's just do something easier, okay, because this is hard. So let's just do contact dot middle name is empty. All right, and I also want to read this too, because when I don't work with these all the time, I forget. So yeah, returns the order title of the newest order where it is not blank. Okay, so in this case, the reason he's using, because we're looking for the one that's empty, the reason he's using the opportunity field rather is because there's multiples. But what I was actually thinking when we did this is that you could say only save this to a field if it is empty. So let's try what I'm thinking that this does, because I think there's more than one way to use this. Okay, I know you guys are like, wait, what? All right, hang on, just bear with me. Hang on. Okay, so I want to do contact middle name is empty. Okay, well, we don't care about that.
This call? Oh, okay. Sorry. Huh? Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we're going to go to Dirty Dog, and we're going to try this. So Dirty Dog's middle name is empty. Okay, so if I run this on her now, I've got to save it. It should write that to her middle name field because it is empty. That part should be straightforward. I know he's using this as a filter by, but I actually thought it would just ignore it. So we'll see. We'll see if what I thought works does. Publish. By the way, this is something I highly encourage, is that you just like test and try things. Okay.
So what did you say there, Kim?
What I'm thinking is going to happen here. I know how it works on when you have like one-to-many relationships, like you've got orders or you've got opportunities or whatever. But when you're working with something that is the record, for example, okay, if I just put, let's give her a middle name. Okay, Drita Harvey Dog. Okay, so if I say save, what I want to happen here, I don't know if this is the way the plugin is written, but what I want is that when I run this now, it's going to say, oh, I'm not going to overwrite Harvey because it is not empty. Okay, so we'll see if that works. I know it'll put it in there if it's not, but let's just try it. Tag. Okay, you guys with me? So this right here says, this is what I'm trying. This is empty, and I'm saying middle name is empty, and if it is empty, we're going to overwrite it with this. But since it's not empty, if it works the way I would like it to, it should not put anything there. And that's what I'm testing. So we'll try it.
Okay.
So we'll say run qualifier. We'll say apply this tag, and we'll say tag's been applied. Now let's go see what, you can see it right there, Drita Harvey Dog. Let's see what it says now. It should still, I hope it still says Drita Harvey Dog. It does. Awesome. Now let's do it again. Watch. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. So let's do additional info again. Let's take out Harvey. Let's make it blank. Yeah, this works the way I thought it did. And so we're going to say save. So now she's just Drita Dog, and we're going to tag her. And this time, it should write run qualifier, apply. So now she should have this campaign builder number 4 thing in her middle name. Okay, what just happened there? All right, I applied, didn't I? I thought I did. Apply this tag. There. Okay, now refresh. Uh-oh. Now how come it didn't write it that time? See, I would have expected it to put Harvey in the middle name right there. That's interesting. So maybe it doesn't work the way I thought. Okay, so really, all right, I thought it was working as a filter on the field, but it's not. It is only what, I mean, I knew that it was designed to be on the, to get a many records down to 1. So let me just show you what the distinction is. I may try to get this changed because I know people at this company. So what this is doing is just what this says, right? It says return the order title of the newest, most recent order where order title is blank, and if there isn't one, it's not going to return anything. So meaning this is really designed to say, as a filter, only show me, you know, this order title if it is empty. It's a way of getting multiple orders down to one so that you can work with it, because that's something that we're always working with on advanced merge field notation. That's the challenge that everybody has to overcome, is what happens if there's more than one. We have no way of telling it which one. And so most of our notation is really around this idea of, okay, I have multiple of these. I have multiple orders, I have multiple products, I have multiple referrals, I have multiple opportunities. I need to tell it which one, and is empty is one way to do that. However, in the case of the contact, I would love it if it worked on a field rather than an object, and it doesn't. I thought it would, but it doesn't. So it's just saying only give me the newest order if order title is empty. That's how it was designed to work, and that's the only way it works. Okay. Did I just like totally lose you guys, or do I need to clarify? Okay, I'm going to assume that means I didn't lose you. Okay. Okay, so here's another one. Now this one we actually may change the notation of this. We may, Carlos and I were talking about this today. We don't really like it here. We're probably going to change this and put it in the filter by and just make it something you can filter by. So what we like a lot better, instead of saying where ID is greater than 300 or where ID is greater than or equal to 300, and you can do multiples of these together, and that will, and before and after kind of work the same way. But instead of putting them like that, to me, it would make a lot more sense to put this up here in the filter by, so that what we would be saying here was, back to this, we'd say filter by, this is a bad example, but let's say we said filter by ID, let's say we wanted, I don't know, whatever, middle name, where birthday, well, that's a bad example, where something, what's a number, where lottery num is something like this, greater than 300. To me, because then and what I like about doing it up here better than where we did it initially is then it also makes a lot of sense to be able to then put right here in the same place. You can still do this, but where lottery num is less than 400, and what that gives you is basically between, right? But because you here, it's the same, it just reads better. But so we're probably going to change that. But where it is right this second is down here in this dot notation rather than in filter by. So what you would do to get between is, instead of you'd say dot greater than 300, dot less than 400, and that would give you between. But I just think it makes more sense in filter by than where it is. So we're probably going to move that. For now, that's where it is. You can check the documentation. We'll change it when we move it. Before and after are essentially less than and greater than, but for dates. That's the only difference there. And then has any tag and has all tags. Now this is another one where we limit it. We're only supporting contact table right now. So right here, logical one, contact.email, give me the email address. When we say any tag 123.456, ooh, and I have to show you this too. When we say any tag 123.456, we're saying if this wasn't there, if that's all we had, we would be saying, give me the youngest, meaning the most recently created email address that has either 123 or 456 in it. But when we say combine and put this little glue, which is a comma down here, and by the way, this is explained further down. where is combine? Here, combines the results into a big long string and applies a glue in between. Okay, so when we do that, as soon as we do combine, rather than taking the newest one, it's giving me all of them in a string with commas in between. Do you guys understand the distinction between that? Any questions on that? Okay, so same here, if we do has all, this one, if that was not there, okay, if it was just stopped right there, what we would say is show me the email address of the youngest contact, meaning the most recently created contact that has both 123 and 456 for tags. But as soon as we add this dot combine, then we're saying give me all of the email addresses where the contact has both 123 and 456 and put them in a string with a comma in the middle, right? And so what starts to happen with these combines and directives that we're about to talk to is, like, as you can see, now you can start to get kind of clever. You can start to create things like email lists and, you know, lists of things, multiple records, like all of the items on an order, and things like that. Okay. Okay, so those are all of my qualifiers right now. Okay, this whole list, and these are all the filters. When we say filter, the reason we call it a filter is just what I said. The idea of a filter is it's trying to get some large number of records down to a smaller number of records and potentially a single record, so that we can say this, out of all these opportunities, this due date or this revenue amount. So that's why those are filters, because they're filtering down a large group into a small group. Now, directives are different. Directives are actions that we're going to take on the results. Okay, so order by. So after we filter it, if we get more than one, how do we know? How do we know which one we're going to order by? And in order by, what's different? What order by does? Let me show you an example, so you can see. Okay, so here's order by, and we'll put that next to this one. No, we'll put it like this. Oops, I'm missing my old tildes up here. Okay, so here's the difference. What this is pretty much saying is this. It's not there, but it's assumed. Okay, so what I'm saying is I want the opportunity title of the newest opportunity, the one that was created most recently. This is default. Okay, or I could say, if I wanted right here, oldest, same thing. It's by create date. I want the oldest opportunity title. Okay, but when I say order by, what I'm doing is I'm changing two things. I'm changing, I could change two things. I'm changing which field it's using to order by. So where here, it's always ordering by, when I just say oldest, newest, first, last, it's using create date. Here I'm saying, nope, I don't care about create date. I want you to order by or sort by estimated close date. So give me the newest or oldest based on estimated close date instead of by create date. Okay? Does that make sense? So now order by, I could order by ID, I could order, it's like when here's what it is. You know those little triangle things at the top of a list, and you hit it and it resorts the spreadsheet, or it resorts the list in Infusionsoft? That's basically this. Instead of whatever it was ordered by, when you hit that little triangle and it moves it and goes ascending, descending, ascending, descending every time you hit it, right? you're basically doing dot order by and saying, I want to order by this column now instead of the regular one that we usually use. So that's how order by works. Okay, so that's order by. And you can see all these different examples of things you might want to order by. Now, this one's kind of cool. It's really specific when you might want to use max and min. We also have count and sum. So what we're going to do here is if I say order ID max, obviously it's going to say, oh, give me the highest, the largest ID of all of the orders, all of the IDs, which one's the highest? So you can imagine things like date, you know, what's the farthest out date would be max, or what's the lowest date, when's the earliest date would be min, for example. What's the, of all the orders that this client has ever placed, what's the one with the highest order total? Of all the products that I have, which one is the highest price? Which one is the lowest price? Okay, so you're trying to find, you know, you're trying to get a bunch of things down to one, but this time based on highest or lowest value. Now in this case, this one actually says how many of these do we have? And it will literally, so if you have 4 opportunities, it almost doesn't matter what you put in here. I always put ID because all it's doing is it's counting the IDs. And it's, if you used any text, for example, it would write the count of IDs in that field. So opportunity.id.count says, I have 4 opportunities for this contact. Now, why would you ever want to count something? Well, there's lots of places to count things. So back to our store for a second. When we say number of purchases, actually what that's really doing is it's just counting orders. It's saying order.id.count. And whatever that number is, it's writing it to a custom field. Okay, so here's a sort of weirder, well, not weird, bad, more interesting use case. So we had a client who wanted to write, wanted to create a custom numbering system for their opportunities, and so we created like a random account number. No, well, that's not right either. It was actually a sequential account number. So each new customer or contact that came in at the company level, because they worked at the company level, they sold to school districts. So let me rephrase it again. Let me get this example right. Every new company that came in got assigned a account number that was sequential. So it was one more than the last one. So what we did there is we said, okay, show me account number max, and then we added, using field math, we added 1 to that to get the next number in the sequence. So now in the company we've assigned the next number in the sequence. Then what we did is they wanted to write that number to each of the contacts, the new contacts as they came in. So if a new school came on board as a customer, they wanted that account number for the company, and in this case the school district, written to the contact. So we would do that. That was easy. That's any text. And then what they wanted was, if in a case where they had opportunities, they wanted us to make a notation of the opportunity got a number, and it was account number dash and how many, the number of opportunities. So account number dash 4 for the 4th opportunity. So there, again, we used count. So, there's 4 opportunities, and then we used any text to concatenate the account number to the count plus 1. And anyway, and that, little sequence, without writing any code, gave you a perfectly functioning sequential account number that also counted the number of opportunities and incremented that as well. So those are the, that gives you kind of both max and count, so you can see how you might use those. Sum is a lot more obvious. .sum, well, if I say, this is a good example. So this gives you the total quantity ordered on an order. So I'm saying order item, meaning the individual items on the order, where the order ID is 15. So for this specific order, 15. Now, by the way, you could also do other things here. This could be merge field, all kinds of things. But I'm saying, give me the total quantity on order 15. You could also give me the total quantity where product ID is 265 or, whatever. But the more, another more really super obvious use for sum is where you just say invoice dot, let me just get it right for you. Invoice, I'm looking for the order total, basically. So if I did invoice total, invoice total dot sum, that would give me the sum total of, dot all, I missed the dot all, would give me all invoices. So that would say, this is the sum total of all the purchases, right? And then I want to write that to custom field for that contact so I can know what are the purchases for that particular contact. Because that I'm about to get to. Everyone kind of see how sum and count and min-max work. I think they're pretty self-explanatory too. Okay. Cool. And then now, this is a good one too, right? This is really cool. So when you say global, you're querying all contacts, not just the one associated with that particular running through that campaign. So, for example, this is kind of a funny example, but anyway, if you assign it with, if you do some other things like combine, it does some fun things. But so let's just say, so here we're saying, okay, contact.id, global, meaning not for this record, for all contacts, where postal code starts with 902. Tell me how many of those there are, or whatever. So when you say global, and then especially when combined with filter by, all right, now you can start to figure out some pretty cool things. You could do counts, you could do max, you could do min, you could do anything there. You could do combine, all kinds of cool things. So let me just, okay, so here's, this one just popped in my head. But let's say you wanted to know, let's say you had a vendor, for example, because I know you have vendors, right? Let's say you had a contractor. And you wanted to know for that contractor how many, let me think, not contractor. Let's say, let's say how many work orders have been done for a certain building or plan or something, right? And those opportunities are, oh no, I have it backward. Yeah, because you use opportunities at the strata level. Okay, so each one of those opportunities has been is a work order, and you want to know how many. You want to do all work orders. So I want to see all work orders across all stratas, right? So that would be contact. No, that would be opportunity dot ID dot global. So that's every work order across every strata. Filter by and I'm, owner, let's imagine that's because I don't know how this is being set up, but owner, meaning like the contractor assigned, is 902, or where issue type is plumbing, or something. And then you count those. So you can, this would be useful for reporting. This would be useful for putting totals of things in the record of somebody that's doing things on all of your records, if that made sense, like on a contractor that's working on all work orders, things like that. Those are places where you might want to use global, but it's probably most useful really for reporting. Okay, let's see. All right, and then we still have to do prefetch and stuff. So getting to the end of this, combine. Well, you've already seen combine. That's just you can give it a glue. The glue could be a space, it could be a comma, it could be a pipe, it could be whatever, and it essentially creates a delimited list like that. And then all. So it's like combine, except there's no glue. This is where you want to update more than one record. Okay, so you want to update this field for every single opportunity, or every single opportunity where you had filter by something. All just says don't filter this. Don't make this V1. You're going to perform this action on more than one thing. That's basically what all does. Oh, and then I also we created this pseudo table. We have pseudo goals. Now we have pseudo tables, and this just works just like the ones in the email builder or in the merge fields. So date.current, date.day, date.day. So what this does is this saves you, because we were having to, for simple stuff like this, we were having to pass an any date value into an any text something or whatever, and we just said, well, this is stupid. This is an extra step, so let's just make a date dot notation that we can use for simple dates. You can't adjust them or do things like like that, but for just to put this in as a merge field somewhere, this is really easy. Okay, so that is that. We have, oh golly, that accordion, I gotta get that fixed. That's not us, by the way. That's a shortcode in a plugin. So here's some more examples. I think these are pretty straightforward. Oh, this is interesting. I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this. So this is where, so we're saying, well, you can see it from here. So we're saying, find me the opportunity, or return the course name of the opportunity where the title has the words "Send client a project proposal," and the affiliate ID is 15. And for whatever reason, this opportunity title has quotation marks around the word project. So anytime you put inside of a text string they're listed up here somewhere about escaping, I should list escape here. Quotation marks and tildes inside of a string, then you have to escape them with this little backwards hash. Otherwise it'll get confused and it won't realize, it'll think that you've got another quotation. It'll break this up and get really confused. So when it sees that little backwards hash first, it goes, oh, okay, that's actually a piece of the text. You don't want me to interpret that, you just want me to put the character there. Okay, so that keeps, when you escape things, that keeps the processor from getting confused. And what else do we have here that's of any interest? Stop me if you guys see anything of interest. So it's 6:30. We've gone for an hour and a half. So maybe I'll do prefetch next week. We could do prefetch. We kind of really, well, there's also, in addition to reference notation, we have another thing called override, which is kind of similar to reference, but it's different. So maybe next week we'll do prefetch and override. How about that? Do you guys have any questions about anything that you want to ask before we close up?
Yeah, Kim, I've had Chetan go through one plugin at a time. Really, well, for two purposes. One is for him to get cluey on these plugins, so he understands how they sort of the variables and all the different ways that could potentially be used. And in order for him, what he's doing, I think I mentioned it last week, he's creating a HTTP post for a lot of variations within each plugin. Right. So the way we've done it is just called it a campaign for any date and one for email, the email one, and he's going through systematically from a theoretical point of view, all the different type of variables, so that when we start using them, we've got the structure of the HTTP post already set up, okay? And we'll grab it from the library. That's from a theoretical point of view. It'd be great, just like how you've got here how to use it, and you've got examples there, which is great. We're gonna include those in the HTTP posts. What I'm particularly interested in terms of helping him along that road is the real life examples, of where the type of things that real clients use rather than the theoretical.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, look, part of it's in the documentation, I understand.
Yeah. You actually did mention this last week, and in our staff meeting, I mentioned it to Monica and Carlos and the folks who work with these plugins and their campaigns, and told them to be on the lookout for those. And because as I may have mentioned previously, not only would it be helpful for you, but then I can turn around and make videos and things out of them. So feel free. I am, just so you know, and if you probably want to try to, we're going to start posting these as well. However, yeah, they're not there yet because I haven't. I haven't. So anyway, I made 3 new videos over the weekend that'll appear here in the idea book pretty soon. One is about things that you already are pretty familiar with, but one is how to just look. They haven't made it that far yet, but they will soon make it onto a page. We just got the video edited. One is about how to send a email to multiple people. To the same person multiple times, which you, of course, know, but that uses our email. And this was actually for someone who wanted to know if they could use our plugin for that. And so I made a video to show them how you would use that. And then the other one, which is a nice tip for those people who don't know it, is this one. And that is, how do you send an email to staff but still have the link to like a web form or the opportunity or what have you be to the contact going through the campaign? Because as soon as what the builder does is every time it builds a link, even if you use our Email Anyone plugin, it's going to change that link to the to. So it's going to change the information attached to that link to the staff person, not the contact going through the campaign. So we created one there, and yeah, so we've created over the weekend. I created like 5 videos, and I've got 2 more coming. So, and these will all and by the way, this doesn't take the place of us just sending things as we find them to you, but eventually those things we send to you should become also idea books. So you definitely want to check back on this often, because I'm trying to create one or two, well, I should say several a week to get this whole thing really populated. I spent much of this weekend on these because I felt like I had to create these as a foundation for everybody, but now that those are done, I can really start to focus more on these, and this is how people can or are using the plugins. But for sure, we'll send them to you as we find them.
Not a problem. Okay, and Kim, just unrelated to the topic, I've got, we're going to go live with Zendesk shortly, and another system which replaces our Strata system. I've got a need to look at an API when we update they've already got an API, this company called RP Strata, and what we need is that we need an Infusionsoft API to read this system, and any time a record gets changed, like an owner record that Infusionsoft's updated, the link is an agent ID. So there is a key link between the Strata system and Infusionsoft. I need to organise a time for you to speak to the developer from this system. When would be the best time? Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Is this RP Strata system, is this like a closed system, or do they have documentation online about their API?
Yeah, no, they don't.
It's a closed system.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not closed as in there is a proper APIs, but because they've just sort of launched it, they're not documented.
Got it.
But he said that the developer said, look, if I can just speak to someone that knows what they're doing, I'll be able to point them into the direction of how to do it. And it's not documented, yeah. Yeah,
and he's in Australia?
That's right. So same time zone as us.
Okay. How about, I think maybe the fastest, easiest thing would be for me to send, my calendar link to you, and you could just forward it to him.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And then that way he can pick a time that works for both of us. And
all right. Good. Yep, send that to me and I'll forward it to him. No problem.
Okay, good.
Good stuff.
All right. Anything else, you guys?
The only other thing, Kim, related to the work order project, is because we're going live with Zendesk, and this is it was sort of left at a high level when we did the scope, is the whole issue about generating it, like, let's call it a ticket number or a task code. Now that we've got Zendesk up and running, we probably need to have a chat at soon about how we can incorporate the ticket number so that it's generating from the one place.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I can. I can have Monica get with you on that, or
okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because she'll know how to get where that
all right.
fits.
Well, I'll reach out to her directly then. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll give her a note in the morning as well.
No worries. All right. All good.
All right. Well, very good, you guys. Hopefully that was helpful. And we'll meet back on, okay, just so you know, advance warning. I think for sure, you're coming to PartnerCon, right?
Yes, I am, yep.
Yeah, so we'll have one next Monday, but then the week after we'll be in traveling and getting ready for PartnerCon. So probably won't do one the week of PartnerCon.
Cool. Are you gonna be like everybody else? Is there like booths there for vendors, or you just there as just like us?
Yeah, there's no booth, but we are doing a few. We are doing a few things.
Beautiful, great.
Yeah, you'll see us. You'll see us.
All right, I'll cheer you on, Kim.
All right, very good.
All right.
All
Good on
right.
ya. See you later.
Talk to you guys.
See ya. Bye.